If my wife says we got to give up on this, and I got to give up, she wanted to watch something else.
Yeah.
So she carried me.
I want to know what outranked Westworld to Mia. That's my real question. I gotta know.
Man, you gonna hurt you.
You're damn right. I'm going to. What is it?
The main reason we brought Mr. Coleman on here today is that we were talking about our favorite TV moments, because now as we're, holy crap, dude, it's December 1st. It's December 1st, people. This year flew by. So, now looking back collectively at TV moments in 2018, we pulled a few things that I wanted to talk about that I thought, again, not episodes necessarily, but just things that stuck out and I wanted to discuss with you guys here. So thank you guys once again.
And let me just say to the Toasties, while we're going through this, we want to hear yours, man. So on the chat attack, let us know. Throw up your top TV moments of the year.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and start with something, because I'm biased and I really love this show. It's Westworld, episode 4 of season 2. And once again, I feel like it's obvious, but spoilers for everything we will be talking about. If you haven't seen it, tough shit. So one of the clips I'm going to play here is that amazing scene with William visiting James Delos.
Your mind is stable for a few hours, a few days, and then starts to fall apart. Rejects reality. Another year or two, they might crack it.
There's a point really frightening in that. For people who don't know, getting some context into the show. So this is a point now where, how every episode of Westworld starts with like, what happened previously, right? And of course we get James Delos, the guy who kind of funded the whole Westworld, theme park, right? And all that. And of course it ends with like, well, hopefully, you guys have some time to develop the future, what this AI and human interaction can be. But some of us don't have the time. So seeing this now play out in the episode where it's like, oh yeah, here's William here already now 40 years obviously into the future, into what's happening right now. And of course we're finding out that poor old James Delos, this thing is not working. All the money in the world is not stopping his brain from not accepting the reality that he's in. And that was kind of creepy and surreal to watch for the first time. Right. So what do you think when you saw it, Christian?
One, I think that Ed Harris got some bushy-ass eyebrows, number one. They were distracting, man. The whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, this should be exciting, but he's got some bushy-ass eyebrows. Nah, dude, look, I love the show. I really do. And this is one of the moments where I think early on in the season. You watch this or no?
You know what, man?
Damn.
I do watch it. People heard me say this before. One, did we just finish with the second season?
Yeah, we just finished.
Okay, man, I was running into some bad episodes. They were getting slow. They were starting to like question life a little too much. And I'm thinking, okay, you know something, man? I'm not one of those people who I don't turn my nose up to things that are smart and have intelligent writing.
Of course.
Right. I'm not one of these people just like, when they gonna fuck or kill something,
Yeah.
But I was saying, man, okay, this is Westworld.
Yeah.
This is Jurassic Park with dinosaurs, man. I mean, with cowboy robots. I'm like, when we're gonna get back into some of the more action-oriented, fun parts of this instead of philosophizing through this whole thing. So that's why I stopped for a little bit. Not to say that I didn't see promise coming up in the other episodes, but the other thing is, if my wife says we got to give up on this, and I got to give up, she wanted to watch something else.
Yeah.
So she carried me.
I want to know what outranked Westworld to Mia. That's my real question. I gotta know.
Man, you gonna hurt you.
You're damn right. I'm going to. What is it?
Man, let me just scoot back a little bit. Let me scoot back.
Get out of punch range. Get out of punch range.
It was a cooking show.
Oh, fuck. Like we don't have 50 fucking million cooking shows. Jesus Christ, man.
She just says, I'm getting tired of dealing with fake worlds. I want to deal with the real world. So we start watching some Turkish cooking shows.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, it's Turkish. I'm fine with it. If there was a Turkish Westworld, she might be really into it, man.
She was watching some Turkish bullshit the other night.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry because I don't want to step on you, man, but there's a lot of great things that happened in the season. Actually, the next clip is going to be a bit of a spoiler for you because it bookends this scene. This scene was the first time that you realize that they're trying to do more.
May I ask you something before you do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I know both you guys watch Ozark. a show that I just finally said, to hell with my
Yes.
wife. I'm watching that.
He's fucking phenomenal in that. James Delos is the same guy who plays what's his name? Jacob Snoot or something?
Yeah.
He
was like, what?
Dr. Seuss character. But no, is he Scottish in real life?
Yeah, he's Scottish.
He's amazing, man.
He kills that southern accent in Ozark,
he
right?
does.
I know,
Yeah.
dude. It's really impressive.
Yeah.
That's what I said the whole time I was watching Ozark, because he's way bigger a fan of it than I am. But I'm just like, this whole show is running on James Delos fucking fumes, dude. This southern accent is killing me. It's amazing.
No, and he does a good job even here, just being the robot or the AI that's not working, right? Even the ticks as we're watching it. Oh God, dude! There's so much I really loved. There was so much good stuff I loved. You know what? I'm gonna say let's just kind of gloss over that next Westworld scene, because I know we're kind of.
If you want to, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying.
No, I think we should play it, man. I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
All right, unless you really, really want to see it.
I'm cool.
You good? All right. I'll say I want to play it just because it bookends that scene. You start to realize that this guy, like up until that moment where William walks in and tells him, yo, this is the 149th time, Delos has no concept that he's not real. You know what I mean? Like that his reality is not the real reality. So we bookend this, and this was really interesting because TV shows in 2018, this is my Sharp Objects did this too, a post-credits tag, man. Like Marvel Universe post-credits tag shit. So they roll the credits, and then like 20 seconds into it, you get this second scene featuring the Man in Black, our boy William.
Oh, fuck. I knew it.
The system's long gone.
How many times have you tested me?
It's been a long time, William.
So now we see him kind of, what goes around comes around type of thing, right? And that was kind of the big shocker of how Westworld season 2 ended, right? With that conclusion of like the Man in Black. Holy crap, he's died a long time ago, but how far are we into this future?
Right, because the facilities are all completely desolate, broken down. Seems like the earth has kind of grown over it and shit like that. So it's not this pristine white lab like we saw with James Delos. Nah, this is hundreds of years in the future at least.
Yeah.
So I loved it, man. It's weird because they spent so much of season 2 like, is he a robot? Is he not a robot?
Type of
and then
thing.
they kind of confirm it here at the very end.
This has got me intrigued into watching it again.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of doing this retrospective, man. I want to get some. There's a couple. Did you watch Barry?
I don't have HBO anymore, but I did. I watched it up until. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, man. I bootlegged some of it because I really wanted to. I bootlegged some of it because people were telling me how good it is, and then I felt guilty about it, and I stopped bootlegging for a while. But so I had about 2 episodes to go. I'll tell you the episode I stopped on. If y'all, and I guess you're gonna tell people what Barry's about.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader as a killer, hired killer who discovers acting class and that he has more meaning in life now. But I stopped on an episode right when it was getting dark where and it's not a spoiler, I'm just gonna say he killed someone, and then the person said something to him that made him rethink what he's doing. And I said, damn, this is the part where now I feel like I should really start paying for it.
Bro, that is the fucking, that's when, when you're at the top of the roller coaster right before shit gets really dark. That's, you stopped at the right time, dude, because it gets so dark. I was telling him beforehand, because he's never watched it. Yeah. There's a scene that's the closest thing to Breaking Bad filmmaking, not in terms of like, oh, this beautiful landscape, just in like how it's constructed, that like, oh man, this next thing, like, what's the worst possible thing that could happen right now? And it ends up happening. You're like, fuck. Wow. It's phenomenal, man. So I can't wait for you to see it. We're going to show a clip from that too. It's a little out of context. This is actually my 3rd favorite clip, but the other 2 that I love so much are so amazing that I don't want anyone to be wasted. Like, you got to go watch it yourself. So
absolutely. So for people like myself, Christian, what is Barry all about and the story? So it's on HBO.
Yeah, it's on HBO, and it's showrun by Alec Berg, the guy who does Silicon Valley as well. So it's weird. He does a comedy, but he also does this. And Bill Hader is like a writer, and he directs a lot of episodes. He plays a hitman who just came back from, he's a not Vietnam. Holy shit! How old is he in this show? He's an Iraq vet. Yeah, he looks great for his age. He's an Iraq vet. He comes back, and he's kind of like just a broken person, right? So he's a hired hitman, and you see some decent morality in him, but he doesn't know how to act like a person. He follows one of his marks into an acting class, falls in love with the acting class. And it's great to see it week to week because it's like Bill Hader is learning how to become a person, like learning how to be an actual human with emotions and shit while he's acting, and so the whole show is just him doing that, falling in love with it, and of course his other life is trying to pull him back in, you know what I mean? And so I would say play this clip, just to give you a little setup, is he's got to do this big hit. He doesn't want to do it anymore. At this point he's like, I just want to be a fucking actor, right? But he keeps getting drawn into these things. This is supposed to be a simple job. They're supposed to snipe some dude from the mountain ridge, and it does not go that way. They end up in a car charging directly at their target, and this is what happens in this scene.
Cool.
So that's how this episode ends, and then the next episode picks up like this. the other two scenes are like so powerful. They might be the best TV I've seen this year, drama, comedy, anything. So I can't recommend this enough. If you haven't seen Barry, it's only 8 episodes. It's on HBO. They're 30-minute episodes. Get the fuck on it, man. It's incredible.
Cool. Next up, we actually have a clip that Korey picked out himself. This was from Better Call Saul. Again, a show that Christian and I cannot stop praising. Why are you watching this? Go watch Better Call Saul. Well, after what's in the box, but start watching it. It's an amazing show. I mean, each season, I'm blown away with some of the stuff I see here. And in context, what we're going to do here, with this next clip I'm about to play, this is the point where now Mike has to now make the bad choice, right? Like, he's slowly falling into this trap of like, I know what this is all about. Let's just do the work. Let's not worry about anything. And this is what happens when you mess with the wrong person.
Right.
Repercussions will come about this clip I'm about to show everyone. Oof.
What a gorgeous shot, man.
And that's how the scene ends. So, Korey, when you were explaining it to me last week about this being an important clip to you, what made you say this was one of the better moments in 2018?
Well, because for one, it was obviously this is a spoiler, but for one, it was sort of a fake out for the episode. I mean, they showed Mike and that what's the guy's name? The German guy.
I'm gonna be real racist here. Is his name Werner or something?
Yeah,
I feel like it was Werner.
Yeah, let's go with it. You know, that's his name. It's not racist. You know.
If it's not his name, it's racist.
Yeah, now if you said Werner the Jew killer or something, then I would have been. Yeah, that would have been very racist.
I calls it like I sees it, Korey.
No, that was important because usually fake outs like that are kind of cheap in shows. And him and Mike had been becoming good friends. Like, Mike actually genuinely liked that guy, and at that moment, and you like that Werner. I think if he says that's his name, you liked him. Mm-hmm. And there was this moment where they actually it even felt kind of tender. Like, wow, these guys. He's the guy that humanizes Mike, and that turned for me because that guy in just 2 episodes, Werner just started to get on my nerves, man. And then the way they faked it out is because they had that Werner had the other German crew that he was overseeing,
yes.
And they had that one asshole there who was always thinking, you were thinking, when is Mike gonna snap on this guy and kill him? Mm-hmm. That guy ended up being kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it was and it was only a moment, but then that guy Werner, he was getting on my nerves, man. And it's a moment where you see a guy, Mike, in a dark place that he's never going to turn back from. That's the moment where he's a murderer, and he's not going to, and 2 things are going to happen to him. For one, he's going to have to live with this thing he's done to somebody that he cared about. But from that moment on, people that he don't give a shit about, think about how that's going to affect him. Mm-hmm. That's going to make him a cold-blooded, at this point he's a goon now. He's a hired killer for this drug trafficker, and and it's a mixture of emotions because, while I hate to see that guy enter this dark area that he sold his soul for and he's never going to come back from again, it's just going to make it easier from here on out. It's going to be more of a cold person, and he's never going to trust anybody like that guy again. Yeah. But the other thing about it was mixed emotions for me because I like that guy Werner, and of course I don't want to see anybody die. However, because I'm not a murderer, but
that we know of.
You come back and he's not even sitting here anymore. I got blood all over me.
Christian going?
That's what I was saying. No, but that guy Werner, he frustrated me so much because if he had just done his job, he would have gone home with money. He would have gone home to spend because this whole thing he was crying about his wife.
Yeah.
He would have been able to take care of his wife and spend all the time in the world he wanted with his wife. He'd have enough money to take as many vacations as he would want to. And Mike explained this to him, and when they killed him, I had some sort of bloodlust for this guy. I was like, I did, because you work for people that are dangerous. If you cross it might not be a very moral code. Mm-hmm. But you crossed the code that these people have, and you knew it going in. It wasn't like they kidnapped you. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like they were holding you hostage. You accepted their money. You knew the terms, and you were whining the whole time over this one little thing. And I felt like, man, this is so heartbreaking, even for me, because I just felt happy when he killed that guy.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what I liked about it is it kind of harkened back to Breaking Bad, right? We've talked about the half measure, full measure. I think that's how season 3 ends, right? There's 12 and 13, half measure, full measure.
Yeah.
And I love that because it starts with Mike giving him that talk to Walter, like, no more half measures. You know what I mean? This is kind of like that intro into Mike having to deal with that. Like, it's him learning that lesson. You know what I mean? I know in Breaking Bad, he tells another story about when he was a cop and that's what happened, but fuck it. Right? For the sake of this argument, I think that it's really pretty because it's the whole season really, his arc is trajecting him going from like a likable guy who's going to do some bad things, but not cross a moral line to a line that in which he'll never be able to come back from.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, they did it to a guy that is really likable, like the nicest guy in the world. But like you said, his downfall is his own downfall. Mike sat him down like, yo, you really want to see your wife? Get the job done.
Yeah.
Like, just get it done.
Yeah.
You know who we work for, man. This is not going to be some happy ending, all right? Like,
I know.
And he tried his best, man. He tried to be...
You know what makes it even, what made me even angry? It wasn't like Mike threatened him.
Right.
Mike sat down and talked to him patiently.
Like
He
a fucking person.
He says,
like an equal.
I like you. I want you to succeed. And this guy just couldn't do it, man. No telling how many weeks he had left before he would be finished.
Right.
I know.
What's sad about that?
Yeah.
We didn't see it in that scene is Werner talking to his wife who had flown into New Mexico for that episode.
He's about to kill her.
He has to scream at his wife. The last words his wife's ever going to hear from him, right? Because he's just going to be disappeared into some fucking hole in the New Mexico desert. It's like, I don't love you, blah, 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 just screaming at his wife. I mean, dude, how fucking heartbreaking is that, man?
Absolutely. And it's one of those things, it's like you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah.
And of course, they do that beautiful juke out scene, right? That you said, Korey, that here's that one asshole guy.
That arrogant German
the
motherfucker.
young guy, right? Who thinks he knows it all. He's a fucking buffoon and all that. And then when you see it play out, you're like, oh shit, he's good.
Hey, man, scene who had the beer and it's like, hey, to Mike, come up and have a beer.
Right.
Yeah. And Mike is thinking too, just as the audience, we're like, is he going to try and pull a fast one or is he genuinely about this? And yeah, he was genuinely about this. He's like, hey, this guy, put my ass into a check and now I'm good to go, And of course, it's the smartest one, right? I mean, hell, dude, he met Gus. This guy met Gus, you know, like he knew what job application he was signing up for, It's when I told Korey about, what's in the box. And he's like, Korey had a very firm talk with me. He's like, listen, you fuck this up, you're done, dude.
Right.
All right.
Do your job.
Yeah.
You want to go back home, Miles? You do your fucking job. You can go back home.
And we're taking a trip to the desert tonight.
But yeah, no, it was great that, come on, this is a guy who knew it. Why are you gonna fuck this up? Like you're so near the finish line here. Don't mess this up. Why are you now crying about something?
Listen, man, you can understand it. You just moved your whole life over here, right? When I moved up to Brooklyn, it was just me taking everything and going to a place where I don't know anybody and I have to start over. Like that is a lonely feeling. Imagine going to some place where you don't speak the language either, right? Which you kind of they speak English in Turks and Caicos. I'm ignorant as fuck.
Yeah, you're ignorant as fuck. Yeah.
Turks. I thought like somehow they were Turkish. I don't know. Anyway. But that's my point. Like you're going to a place like that. I understand the isolation and all that, but again, like when the other option's the barrel of a gun, right?
And also the option was yours.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even talking about yours in this.
No, you're saying like he decided. He had a moment where he could have not said no and nothing bad would have happened to him. But the minute he entered into that contract is when shit popped off. He wrote his own death warrant, man,
Takes me back to that one episode of Walking Dead. I know about the end of this, but that one episode of Walking Dead when I was watching it, I don't want to see children die. I love kids. My whole thing is kids and animals. I hate seeing anything cruel happen to them. But it was that one episode where that little girl was crazy and she was fucking it up for everybody.
Oh, the one where with the gun scene with the flowers, like look at the flowers.
Yeah, the mice and men. In this case, mice and little girls.
Talk about the rabbits, George.
Yeah. And that was one time when Carol, who was all about getting stuff done and having to kill stuff, that was one I saw. Like this is one where I agree. And in this world that we're living in, this girl's got to go.
I'm glad you like children. I hate child actors. I say this all the time. The more child actors getting killed on screen, not in real life, is my favorite shit in the world.
Killing them in real life.
All right, so we got 2 more clips. We're going to talk over one, but I want to play this one because it was very near and dear to Christian. So let's go ahead and play it because it's a surprise that I think everyone should be like, well, no duh, this was the top moment of television 2018.
I'm not kidding. The pills. Now!
You're out of control.
Give them to me!
Let go! You're hurting me.
It's a rough scene, man, because you've spent 4 seasons rooting for Bojack, even though he gets in his own way, right? Like that's the problem. But this was the first time where I'm like the Walter White of it all. When did you were like, I can't root for Walter White anymore. He's just a villain, man. Like, yeah, he started off being this guy that we were rooting for, but at some point, your shitty behavior has to be held accountable. And this was the moment where I'm just like, yo, he's straight up strangling a woman on set because he's fucked up. What you don't know, because you haven't seen this, is that this episode is him obviously has a pill addiction, and he's confusing his show, his cop life, with his real life. Because the character has so many similarities to him.
Oh, wow.
And so he, like, when he has the pills, I think that's legit him at home and not realizing that he's on set, and he ends up strangling this woman, and it fucks his career. Early in the season, they had a whole arc about how Bojack became an unlikely hero of the Me Too movement because the original person who was going to play that role had domestic violence abuse, right? And he was like, don't strangle women. And everyone was like, oh, great, Bojack, you're a hero. And it fucking ends with this, where he ends up being the very thing that he was chastising. And it's like... dude, for me, that was a moment where, like, you know, you don't come back from that. And I love that this season was very much about Princess Caroline and Diane, right? Like the women of this series finally got their day, because it talks about how do you reconcile someone that you absolutely love doing a horrible thing? You know, how do you do that? And I thought that this was like one, you know, people try to talk about Roseanne doing that, right? Because they killed Roseanne off and did the second show, and it was about them reconciling with who she was. Yeah. Fuck that. This was the better example of that for me, and I loved it, man. What about you?
No, it was beautiful, and I was not a fan of Bojack for the longest time, and then there's that one moment in where he was like trying to save the seahorse, right? The baby seahorse. I'm like, oh, okay, I think it's coming around.
Completely silent episode in Bojack, man. It's fucking wonderful. You should really watch it. You'll like it. Just from an animation standpoint, it is like the visual storytelling that they have to do is incredible.
You know, again, it goes back to what I was saying. You watch a couple of episodes and you don't see where it's going with these deep character studies. You just see all the crude jokes,
right?
And I'm just thinking, okay, there's another a mature animated show that's just relying on that.
Right.
I've been really surprised, you know, because I've listened to some of you guys talk about these things too.
Yeah.
I've been surprised at the direction these things have taken.
In your defense, man, you'll agree to this. First 7 episodes, not the show that Bojack ends up being, right? Like, it's trying to be a crude, adult-oriented show, and then somewhere in the middle, they're just like, fuck it, let's tell like a really harrowing character study of a guy who gets everything he wants but still isn't happy. And it's like, it's wonderful. It's probably, like, no exaggeration, I know it's a fucking cartoon. It's probably one of my favorite shows on TV right now, period. Like, it doesn't matter if it's animation or not. It's that good.
This was something that you and I, Christian, have kind of discovered to the new fans out there, or of the show in general, and it's called Channel Zero. We got this
Channel
one
Zero.
creepy scene right now with this what do you call the
It's Pretzel Jack, man.
Pretzel Jack.
Pretzel Jack. So let me give you a little bit of context quickly. Channel Zero is an anthology show. Each season is only 6 episodes. Each season is a different story, so it's not a bunch of commitment. This last season just came out over Halloween weekend, and it tells the story of a married couple who they move it back into a childhood house, and one day there's a basement in their door or a door in their basement that wasn't there beforehand. All right, really fucking creepy thing. They can't open it. They spend a whole episode opening it, and when they do, they find like a Blair Witch dude in a corner, right? who's a contortionist clown, right?
Clown,
which is this imaginary friend that the female protagonist had when she was a kid. And so you realize that this thing manifests itself because whenever she gets angry, she can't control it, and this thing is her wrath. So she thinks her husband's cheating on her, goes to his best friend's house to find out, and this is the season that happens.
Stop lying to me! You came here with your mind already made up.
And what you don't see here is that, like, he's obedient to her. So right after that, he ends up just doing like a child's routine of like doing flips and shit to try to make her laugh. It's fucking so harrowing, man. It's so fucked up.
Is this based on a creepypasta?
Yeah, the whole idea of Channel Zero is adaptations of creepypastas, but it's by the guy who did it's not Brian Fuller who did Hannibal, but his number 2, right?
Yeah.
So that guy understands fucking horror. He really does, and they adapt it and they make them much longer, and they're not, you know, because that story that it's based on is like a page and a half only. He fleshed it out into a 6-episode thing, and it's awesome.
That's cool. I think, you know what, I haven't seen Channel Zero, and I do want to watch it. I'll probably bootleg it, but I don't have cable. But no, I love creepypasta stories, but the trend I've seen happening with creepypasta stories is that people just keep going deeper and deeper with them, and they just keep trying to get you to read more and more. And these things end up being like novels almost. Right. They're supposed to be like just these kind of cool internet campfire stories.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like, you know, I don't know, 5-minute reads tops. Yeah. But now they're turning into novels, man. Like, they really
I was reading one other day about a Godzilla game, and that shit went on. I mean, how long can you go on about a Godzilla game?
I don't know. How long did he go on, Korey?
He went on for like about 6, 7, 8 pages or so.
Jesus Christ.
Chapters. They had all these chapters. My point being is that looking at Channel Zero, it looks like it's capturing the best of those stories, the ones that are, kind of short reads, get straight to the point.
Yeah, man, concise. Like, keep that shit concise and keep the scares there. And that's what I love. 6 episodes, you never feel like there's bloat. There's never a minute where these shows ever, like, take way too much,
That's
too
good,
long to
man.
get there.
That's good.
Yeah, no, it's kind of creepy because when you watch it, and again,
Don't make me watch this again.
Just a whole minute before.
Yeah, no,
I do want to show you one scene, though, because you just saw Pretzel Jack in the doorway. What you don't know is before that scene, he's like bent over backwards, like he's a contortionist, and he just like sort of like flips up, man. When it comes back up, we'll show it, man.
No. And that's why, again, because we're just a little short on time, Korey, that's one of those things, again, I don't do horror, and there's just something really creepy. It's like, listen, man, the whole clown thing is like one, like, I understand why people are scared of clowns, but this guy just does this contortionist stuff where he's pop locking and dropping.
Yeah, you can hear the cracks.
You hear the cracks, and just the thing he does with tilting his head, and then just with that clown smile thing. I'm just like,
which is impressive, man. Think about it. We had It come out recently, so that's a big clown phenomenon. American Horror Story did some shit, and yet this is the clown that freaks me out the most.
That looked freaky, man. I'm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just the way-
Yeah, dude.
No, you got me. You got me wanting to watch this, man.
Yeah,
I got you.
This is only 6
great.
episodes.
Yeah.
So it's a super easy binge, and go ahead and watch it. Definitely one of the better things out there.